She was supposed to wake up the next morning and start a new life. Instead, the night swallowed her whole. By the time anyone realized something was wrong, it was already far too late. Adrienne Robert had a way of lighting up any room she entered. At 29, she carried an energy that felt unstoppable. Quick laughter, easy warmth, a presence that drew people in without effort. Friends described her as magnetic. Her mother called her a firecracker. From a young age, she had always moved forward, chasing opportunity, building something for herself. She grew up in Maine, carving out her path in design before pushing further, relocating to Florida to chase bigger ambitions. Clearwater became her new canvas. She climbed through roles in marketing and event planning, eventually stepping out on her own to build a company from scratch. It was bold, risky, and exactly who she was. Her life was shifting in all the right ways. She shared a townhouse with her roommate Jay, someone who had become more like family than just a friend. But that chapter was closing. Adrienne was about to move in with her boyfriend Justin. Their future felt certain, plans, stability, even a proposal quietly waiting on the horizon. Everything was aligning. July 13, 2012, was meant to be a farewell to the old life and a step toward the next. That night, Adrienne wasn't thinking about danger. She was thinking about boxes to pack, plans for the weekend, the excitement of what came next. She called Justin, casually telling him she and Jay might go out for a bit or maybe just relax. Nothing unusual. Nothing memorable. After a few drinks at home, they decided to head out. The air was warm, the kind of Florida night that made walking feel easy. Just over a mile away sat a place they had been before. A familiar spot, nothing out of the ordinary. They arrived around 10:30 p.m. Hours slipped by unnoticed. At 1:30 a.m., Adrienne had had enough. She was tired, aware that the next day would be busy. She told Jay she was heading back. He stayed behind, lingering in the dim lights and noise. She chose to walk home alone. It was a decision that would define everything that followed. Jay didn't return until nearly 2 hours later. The townhouse felt wrong the moment he stepped inside. Too quiet. Too still. He called out her name, expecting a response, some sign she had made it back safely. Nothing. Her belongings were scattered in the way someone leaves when they're in the middle of packing. Half-finished, temporary. It should have felt normal. Instead, it felt abandoned. Upstairs, the bathroom door was closed. When he pushed it open, the world collapsed. Adrienne lay on the floor. Blood everywhere. The kind of scene that doesn't make sense when you first see it, too sudden, too violent to process. His voice shook as he called for help. Words stumbling over each other. Panic tightening his chest. Instructions came through the phone, calm and methodical. But nothing could reverse what had already happened. By the time responders arrived, Adrienne was gone. What they found inside the townhouse told a story far more brutal than anyone had imagined. She had been attacked viciously. Bruises marked her body. A single stab wound to the chest had ended her life, but it was everything surrounding it that painted the real picture. A chaotic, desperate struggle. Blood streaked across walls, soaked into surfaces. The bathroom bore the worst of it. A broken toilet seat, splatter across the shower curtain, signs of a fight that had spiraled out of control. There were details that didn't fit neatly into place. The bottoms of her feet were torn and cut, as if she had run barefoot over rough ground. It suggested something chilling. She hadn't just been attacked. She had been trying to escape. There was no forced entry. Whoever had done this had been let inside. And then there was what was missing. Her car keys were gone. Her Jeep had vanished from its spot outside. The killer hadn't just left. He had taken something with him. The investigation moved fast. It had to. Adrienne's parents received the call no parent ever survives. One question repeated itself through the shock, the denial. Is she alive? The answer never changed. Justin arrived expecting a normal day, a moving day. Instead, he found police tape and confusion. For a brief moment, he thought her car had been stolen. That was the worst-case scenario his mind could grasp. The truth was far worse. Detectives began piecing together the final hours. The timeline was narrow. Just a couple of hours between when Adrienne left the club and when Jay returned home. Whoever had done this had acted quickly. Security footage from the club became critical. There, in the grainy recordings, Adrienne appeared as she had been all night, laughing, social, unaware. Beside her sat a man no one recognized. He had joined them casually, blending into the night. Drinks were shared. Conversation flowed. Nothing about him raised alarm. But when Adrienne stood to leave, something shifted. Seconds after she walked out, he followed. Outside, he caught up to her, holding her sweater, something she had left behind. It looked harmless, almost polite. They spoke briefly, then walked off together in the direction of her home. It was the last time she was seen alive. A witness later recalled seeing something strange. A woman running late at night, barefoot, clutching her shoes, with a man close behind. At the time it seemed odd but not urgent. Now it was everything. She hadn't been jogging. She had been fleeing. The man from the club became the center of the investigation. Through a trail of small details, a taxi ride, a phone number logged in a previous report, detectives found a name: Thomas Frederick. He didn't fit the profile of someone who would commit such a violent crime. No serious record. No DNA on file. But something about the case told them they were close. They watched him. Days passed. Then weeks. They needed DNA. It came from something as small as a discarded cigarette. The results came back fast. It was a match. When they arrested him, he didn't panic. He didn't lash out. He spoke calmly, almost casually, as if recounting an ordinary night. Yes, he remembered her. They had talked, drank, danced. But according to him, that was all. He claimed they parted ways after leaving the club, until the evidence forced him to change his story. Then came a different version. One where he had gone to her home. One where everything that followed was somehow mutual, consensual, until suddenly it wasn't. He described a struggle, a knife, a situation spiraling out of control. But the physical evidence told a different story. Her injuries didn't match his claims. The brutality didn't align with self-defense. The scene spoke of fear, of force, of someone overpowering another who was already vulnerable. Prosecutors believed he had made a decision the moment he saw her leave, that he followed her with intent, waited for the right moment, and acted when she was alone. Perhaps she let him in, hoping compliance would keep her safe. Perhaps she thought she could manage the situation, de-escalate it, survive it. Instead, it turned fatal. The trial moved quickly. The facts were overwhelming. It took the jury less than 2 hours to decide. Guilty. Life in prison, no possibility of parole. Justice, in the legal sense, was served. But nothing about it restored what had been lost. Adrienne's future had been erased in a matter of minutes. Plans, love, a life she had built piece by piece. For those who knew her, the absence lingered in ways that no verdict could fix. Justin struggled to move forward. The life he had imagined with her was gone, replaced by something he never chose. It took years before he could begin again, before he could find something resembling peace. For her parents, grief became permanent. Memories turned into the only place where her voice still existed, where her laughter could still be heard. The case closed, but the questions never fully did. Because in the end, what happened to Adrienne wasn't just about one night. It was about how quickly everything can change. How a familiar place, a routine decision, a brief interaction with a stranger can spiral into something irreversible. She walked out of that club expecting to go home. She almost made it. And somewhere between those few blocks, between safety and danger, between trust and fear, everything was taken from her. The most unsettling part isn't just what happened inside that townhouse. It's how ordinary the night felt before it did.